A journal, a few handwritten pages, and one chilling sentence that could destroy everything. Tonight on Coronation Street, the murder investigation into Theo Silverton's death took the most explosive turn yet, and the name now sitting at the center of this storm is one that nobody, absolutely nobody, saw coming. Summer Spellman. The sweet, intelligent, university-bound Summer Spellman. Could she really be a killer? And if she is, what on earth did Theo push her to? Buckle up, because this one hit differently, and we are breaking down every single second of it. Welcome back to Coronation Street Update 24, your go-to destination for in-depth Coronation Street episode reviews, drama breakdowns, and the storyline analysis you simply can't get anywhere else. If you're new here, hit that subscribe button right now, because trust us, this is a channel you're going to want in your corner as Weatherfield's biggest murder mystery continues to unfold. Now let's get into it. The 14th of May 2026 gave us an episode of Coronation Street that was quiet in the best possible way. It didn't shout its drama at you. It let it creep in slowly, building tension scene by scene until it absolutely floored you in the final act. This wasn't an episode of big explosions or screaming rows. This was the kind of Corrie storytelling at its finest, intimate, character-driven, and loaded with consequence. With the investigation into Theo's death continuing to spiral outward like a widening net, nearly every major storyline this week is now threading its way toward one inevitable reckoning. And tonight, that reckoning had a face. For those who need catching up, Theo Silverton, the deeply manipulative and abusive partner of Todd Grimshaw, was found dead in the corner shop yard on the 4th of May. What started as the street's worst-kept secret quickly became a full-blown murder investigation, led by detectives Kit and Lisa. The list of suspects is long and complicated. There's Gary Windass, who sent Theo a threatening text on the night he died and had already been caught on CCTV smashing up Theo's van, footage he then deleted from his own computer. There's George Shuttleworth, who was dragged in for questioning after Christina told police he was alone on the night of the murder. And then there's Todd himself, the victim of months of calculated psychological and physical abuse, who, understandably, can barely conceal his resentment toward the entire investigation. But tonight introduced a new, deeply unsettling thread, and it's centered entirely on Summer. The episode opened with some much-needed emotional grounding in the Will storyline. Tim Metcalfe, in what has quietly become one of his most nuanced performances of the year, sat with Will and opened up about his own experience of abuse at the hands of Trisha. It's a scene that could easily have felt like soapbox ticking, but the writers and Joe Duttine played it with real dignity. Tim wasn't lecturing Will. He was sharing. He was saying, "I was you once, and I found a way through." There was a warmth and honesty to that scene that felt genuinely earned after weeks of Tim slowly piecing together the truth about what Will had been living through. That emotional momentum continued when Tim finally confronted Trisha, spelling out to her face that what she did to him when he was 14 was abuse. Full stop. No gray area, no wiggle room. It was a short scene, but it landed hard. Tim has long been one of Corrie's most underappreciated characters, and right now the show is giving him material worthy of his talent. Meanwhile, the anxiety swirling around young Sam Barlow reached a genuinely distressing pitch. We watched him preparing for his maths exam while clearly not being in any state to sit one. Leanne was worried. Nick and Toya were worried. They discussed the possibility of counseling, but here's where it got dark. Sam overheard the conversation, and in a heartbreaking moment of paranoia, he interpreted their concern as disbelief. Instead of hearing love, he heard doubt. The show is handling Sam's deteriorating mental state carefully and without sensationalism, and that is exactly the right call. But then came the scene that the entire fan community has been buzzing about ever since it aired. George, tidying up around the flat, accidentally knocked over Summer's bag, and out fell a page from her journal. He picked it up. He read it, and what he found stopped him cold, a passage in which Summer had written about putting a gun to Theo's head. George and Christina read through the rest of the journal together, barely able to breathe, until Summer herself walked back through the door and caught them red-handed. The silence in that moment was devastating. The journal scene is the undisputed centerpiece of this episode and, arguably, of the entire week. It reframes everything we thought we knew about Summer's relationship to Theo's death. We already knew she hated him, She made no secret of that. But violent, graphic journal entries about a gun pointed at his head? That changes the conversation entirely. What's brilliant about this moment is how the show resists making it simple. Is this the writing of someone who genuinely did something terrible? Or is this the raw, private rage of an abuse survivor channeling her feelings about the man who tormented the person she loved onto a page? Both readings are valid. And that ambiguity is what makes great soap drama. Equally powerful was the follow-through. Lisa took Summer in for questioning based on what Kit had found, and Todd Good, loyal, conflicted Todd, immediately stepped out onto the street to defend her. There's something almost unbearably poignant about that. This is a man who has been through absolute hell, who is barely keeping himself together, who is still raw with grief and anger and shame, and yet his first instinct is to protect Summer. Gareth Pierce continues to be a revelation in this storyline. The police arriving at Gary's builder's yard to gather potential evidence, including scaffolding poles, also gave us one of the episode's more unsettling undercurrents. Gary watched it all happen from a distance, and the camera lingered on Mikey North's face just long enough to remind us, this man is hiding something. Whether that something is murder, we still don't know. But the net is tightening. Let's talk performances, because this episode had several worth celebrating. Harriet Bibby as Summer was phenomenal in the aftermath of the journal discovery. The moment she walked back in and realized what George and Christina had found, that split-second shift from ordinary to terrified, was an extraordinary piece of acting. No overplaying, no melodrama. Just pure, controlled panic behind the eyes. Tony Maudsley as George gave us something quieter but equally affecting. George is a man torn between loyalty to Todd and conscience, and tonight that tension was written all over his face as he read Summer's words. He looked horrified. He looked heartbroken. And honestly, that reaction felt completely true to who George is as a character. Joe Duteen's Tim continues to grow into one of Corrie's most compelling figures this year. The confrontation with Trisha was short but seismic, and Duteen delivered it with the kind of quiet ferocity that only comes from really understanding your character's emotional journey. The fan reaction online has been nothing short of electric. The journal scene has been clipped and reshared countless times across social media, with viewers passionately divided. One camp is convinced Summer did it, pointing to the violent language in the journal, the fact that she's been acting shiftily for weeks, and the detail from spoilers suggesting that George has a flashback of seeing her near the crime scene on the night Theo died. The other camp is equally convinced this is a red herring, that Summer is being framed, or that the journal simply reflects genuine trauma rather than genuine intent. There's also a very vocal Gary Windass camp online who refused to let the CCTV deletion storyline go. The detail that Gary was caught in the background of one of Tim and Sally's wedding photos, apparently leaving the crime scene around 10 o'clock, is something viewers have flagged repeatedly, even though no character in the show has noticed it yet. It's a ticking time bomb that the fandom can see but the characters can't, and that dramatic irony is clearly driving people absolutely mad in the best possible way. This episode is a masterclass in what Coronation Street does best when it's firing on all cylinders. The pacing was deliberate but never slow. Every scene served a purpose. Every storyline, Will's healing, Sam's unraveling, Summer's exposure, carried genuine emotional weight. The show didn't try to do too much. It gave each thread the space it needed to breathe. What's particularly impressive is how the writers are managing the moral complexity of the Theo murder investigation. Nobody on this street is clean. Gary is guilty of something. George is guilty of something. Christina is protecting George. Todd has secrets. And Summer may be guilty of more than she's letting on, or she may be the most unfairly targeted person in Weatherfield. The fact that we genuinely cannot be sure is a testament to the quality of the writing. This is a murder mystery that respects its audience's intelligence. If there's one minor criticism, it's that the Jody storyline, her cold farewell to Shona and that darkening expression as she walked away, felt slightly underserved tonight. It's clearly building to something significant, and the show is keeping its cards very close to its chest. But after the bombshell of the Summer Journal, it almost got lost in the episode's emotional wake. Where does this all go from here? George's flashback, which, based on upcoming episode descriptions, will reveal exactly what he saw on the night Theo died, is going to be the pivotal moment of next week. If that flashback places Summer at the scene, she is in serious, serious trouble. The question is whether Todd will stand by her no matter what, or whether the truth, if it is the truth, will shatter even that bond. Gary's position as Kit's #1 suspect is far from over. The deleted CCTV may have hit a dead end, but those wedding photos remain out there. Someone is going to spot Gary in the background eventually. Whether that happens before or after Summer becomes the primary focus of the investigation remains to be seen. There's also the small matter of Maggie's secret, whatever really happened to Ben's father, which felt like it was inching toward a confession tonight. That storyline has been simmering quietly for weeks, and the writers are clearly waiting for exactly the right moment to ignite it. Our prediction? Summer will be brought back in for formal questioning next week. George's flashback will be damning but not conclusive. And Gary, clever, careful, increasingly cornered Gary, is going to make one more desperate move that backfires spectacularly. Because that's what Gary Windass does. The 14th of May, 2026 was Coronation Street operating at a very high level. It was intelligent, emotionally rich, carefully performed, and it left you genuinely unsettled, which is exactly what a good murder mystery episode should do. The Summer Journal revelation is the kind of scene that people will be talking about for weeks, and rightfully so. This investigation is nowhere near its conclusion, and if tonight is anything to go by, the road to the truth is going to be an absolute roller coaster. Theo may be gone, but the damage he left behind on this street is very much alive, and it is spreading. A strong 9 out of 10 from us tonight. Corrie at its gripping, unnerving, utterly addictive best. What did you think of tonight's Coronation Street episode? Do you believe Summer could really be Theo's killer, or is this the biggest red herring Weatherfield has ever served us? And what about Gary? Do you think he'll eventually be exposed by that wedding photo? Let us know everything in the comments below. We genuinely love reading your theories. And if you enjoyed this breakdown, please give the video a thumbs up. It really does help the channel more than you know. Don't forget to subscribe to Coronation Street Update 24 for daily reviews, spoiler breakdowns, and all the Corrie analysis you need. We'll see you in the next one.